Good afternoon, Trinidad and Tobago. I'm Karen Cozier Phillips. C News is live at noon. Topping the news at this time. The storm is over, but many parts of the country are still feeling the effects of the passage of Bret. Areas such as Urupoon, Shogunas, Penal and Siparia are reported to be experiencing flood waters. While our meteorologist Ian Wallace is here, Ian, the Met Service says the rain will continue. What more can you tell us about the passage of Tropical Storm Bret? Yeah, well, definitely. Obviously, Bret, so we saw the last one in 1993, but obviously this one made a direct hit for Trinidad and Tobago. In terms of Tropical Storm Bret, it's now hugging the coastline of Venezuela, so it is out of our sphere of influence. That's why the tropical storm warning has been discontinued, but that only means that tropical storm winds are basically sustained, will not be experiencing over Trinidad and Tobago. It does not mean it will still see some showers with occasional gusty winds, and obviously the rain is the major factor. Most areas across Trinidad and Tobago are basically saturated, and unfortunately further rainfall is only going to make matters worse. So in terms of the forecast for this afternoon and going into this evening, still a lot of cloudiness, still showers, still long spells of rain expected, and that unfortunately will be the trend as we go all the way through into this evening and overnight. Now, particularly for northern Trinidad, if you notice that the heavier showers will likely be along the hillsides of the northern range, and obviously with that rain still coming down the hillsides, filtering into the river systems, and then obviously going into the major rivers such as the Caroni, and obviously down on the southern coastline as well. We'll have areas along this central range as well as the southern hills feeding into the river plain. So all of those water courses will be feeding much more water as you go through the afternoon. Now, the outlook is that unfortunately for Wednesday, the atmosphere will still be quite unsettled. So still expecting showers then. Now, just a reminder also for fisherfolk that the rough seas bulletin is still in effect, which means that basically we're still looking to see more rough seas even as the system is well out into the Caribbean Sea. Still looking at waves of possibly about 2, obviously to maybe about 4 meters and 5 meters further offshore out in the Atlantic. So obviously the main takeaway is that even though the tropical storm warning has been discontinued, for most areas definitely be mindful of the fact that we could be seeing more rain as we go into the next few hours and into tomorrow as well. So from that outlook then, I would probably say that for everyone who's on that map, for southern Trinidad in particular, be mindful about what you're doing, heed the advice of your first responders, etc., or from the ODPM, and just be careful that the fact that even though it may not be raining in your area, there's still more rainfall that's feeding into the water courses and therefore likely to cause street or riverine flooding, as we've been seeing over the last few hours. Thank you very much, Ian. Of course, we'll have more on passage of Tropical Storm Bret in a subsequent newscast. To other news now, the Minister of Local Government, Kazim Hossain, says from what he has seen, water in some areas may take 2 to 3 days to subside. He spoke with Rishi Harinanan earlier and also said dinghies had to be used to assist some affected residents.
The water came and people marooned in their houses and so on. Yeah, a lot of roofs blown away. Over 20 so far. Yeah, I think the water should be going on about 2 to 3 days time.
2 to 3 days?
Yeah, well, it's plenty water, you know. So, and especially now it's low tide. When the tide is high, it will take longer for the water to go down. And the clean up efforts is taking place with CPEP, the Ministry of Work, T&Tech taking on some trees that fall in the road, because we just had to turn back. A tree fell in the road, T&Tech cutting up the tree right now. WASA is out there, the Ministry of Work, I got in touch with the Ministry of National Security, and they're trying to send down some dinghies to help people get come out from their houses and so on. But the roads flooded.
The local representatives are really the first responders, right?
Yeah, the local government is the first responder, and all the corporations, I must say, all the mayors, chairmen, the administrative staff, the political staff, they're out in the field.
And Deputy Mayor of Shogunas, Faik Mohammed, is pleading with the Ministry of Works to clear the drains near the highway. He says this has caused major flooding in that area. Mr. Mohammed and his team distributed food and other items this morning to residents affected by Tropical Storm Bret. He said when he and his team ventured out, residents complained of the waters entering their homes. The drains, he said, near the highway are clogged and are forcing the waters to find release in the surrounding areas. A school has also been flooded. His team has been supplying sandbags courtesy the ODPM, and he says the cleanup job is going to be immense. When CNews spoke with the Minister of Local Government, he said the recently concluded national cleanup campaign prevented this situation from being worse, as several parts of the country were cleaned and garbage was disposed of. While heavy rains came down in Enterprise Shogunas with the passage of Tropical Storm Bret, our reporter Peter Christopher is in the central area and tells us what's been happening.
It's the morning after Bret in Goodwill Trace and Enterprise, where most of the residents are now doing heavy cleanup work. Several houses have been flooded out. Several people are unable to go to work as they are trying to salvage what they can from their homes.
He also spoke to some of the residents during the cleanup.
The storm had come way overboard, boy. Real people suffer too, as you can see. And that, in working as a working man, I really trying to get over my problem, so I working right now. All the time I wasn't stable working, so now that I get a little job and stable myself to try to fix my thing, but with this flood and this disaster what happened, my boy, it just pulled me out of all day.
This is the CNews Live report at noon. Remember, you can keep up to date with all the latest news on our website at ctvtt.com, or you can check out our Facebook and Twitter pages at CNews Live. The Trinidad and Tobago Electricity Commission says restoration work to its infrastructure is being carried out, and people can expect electricity within the next 16 hours. Tropical Storm Bret knocked out electricity in a number of areas throughout Trinidad and Tobago. The southeast of Trinidad was severely affected by a number of outages, with the majority of customers being without supply. This as a result of the Mayo, Tabaquite, Rio Claro, Galeota and Mayaro substations being all out of service. TNTEC said in addition to the areas mentioned above, there are many other sections across the country that are without electricity supply. The utility reiterated members of the public should stay away from any fallen lines or poles and should not attempt to move or interfere with the infrastructure, but rather to contact TNTEC immediately. One of the services affected during the storm overnight was Flow. The telecommunications company says it is working to ensure that its services are restored in the shortest possible time frame. It says it has been monitoring the situation overnight and is in the process of deploying crews to fully assess the situation. Flow says in some instances it may have to collaborate with other agencies, including TNTEC and the Ministry of Works and Transport, in order to have services fully restored. Customers can call Flow at 223-3569 to report outages. And the weather conditions for Tobago are getting back to normal. This from TEMA Director Alan Stewart, who in the same breath cautioned Tobagonians as heavy rainfall was expected. He said the weather system brought heavy rains and gusty winds to Tobago, which resulted in some structural damage. He said TEMA was in its cleanup phase. As for the electricity, Mr. Stewart said there was 100% restoration to Tobago. But he said TNTEC was dealing with some isolated incidents. The airport has been opened and flights between both islands have resumed. On the sea bridge, the TNT Express is scheduled to leave Port of Spain for Scarborough at 4 p.m. and the Atlantic Provider at noon. Our reporter Patricia Nicholson has been following what's taking place in Tobago and is on the phone to give us an update. Good afternoon, Patricia. What can you tell us?
Good afternoon, Karen. Well, Tobago is still a little bit overcast. The sun is speaking to a little as well. In terms of the cleanup, TEMA has assured Tobagonians that they're in the cleanup phase. Actually, there wasn't much to clean up anyway, and so by now they're probably just tying up the loose ends. The Chief Secretary, I must note, has been visiting areas. He visited Gugu Patch, to be specific, where a couple trees had fallen on a house. No one was injured. Also, a house collapsed in Patient Hill. The pensioner a male. He was taken to hospital yesterday and he was listed as stable. So far, nothing else in terms of incidents have been reported. Mr. Stewart did say they had approximately 8 incidents, but nothing too serious, and they've been dealt with. So it's just, everything is basically back to normal, just a little loose ends here and they're being tied up now by the Tobago Emergency Management Agency. The hospitals, health centers, airports, and the port, everything is coming back to normal.
Thank you very much, Patricia. Meanwhile, normal operations at the Scarborough General Hospital resumed today. The Tobago Regional Health Authority, the Scarborough, Canaan and Roxburgh Health Centers will resume full operations for walk-ins. The TRHA says other health centers and outlying districts will be led by nurses who will conduct antenatal and child health clinics and provide wound care services. Pregnant persons who have appointments will be seen by the district health visitor in their respective areas, as is customary. The Parlatuve Health Center, however, will remain closed, and all special clinics have been suspended for today only. The TRHA says full operations will resume tomorrow, Wednesday, at all health centers throughout Tobago. While some patients at the St. Anne's Hospital had to be relocated on Monday night after a tree fell through the roof of the facility. CNews understands the tree crashed into Ward 23, causing the officials to relocate patients to another part of the building. There were no injuries to staff and patients. And all outpatient clinics at the Sangre Grande, the San Fernando General and San Fernando Teaching Hospitals have been cancelled. This according to the Ministry of Health. In a release, it advised the public that staff at these clinics will be contacting clients to reschedule appointments. The Ministry of Health apologized for the inconvenience caused, but said the cancellation became necessary to ensure a safe environment for all. As we continue our coverage of the effects of Tropical Storm Bret across the country, our reporter Ian Wason has been out on the field this morning taking a first-hand look at the aftermath of the storm in some areas.
Well, several homes in Urupun Gardens are affected by the rising floodwaters, which is a direct result of a malfunctioning pump placed to get the water out of the retention ponds. Marissa Finley, who is the manager of communications in HEC, said that in several places in Trinidad and Tobago what are known to have flooding, they anticipated the rising water with the excess rain and they placed pumps in those areas. But what happened is that the debris and the garbage caused the pump here at Urupun Gardens to malfunction. So the HDC workers came earlier this morning to clear the debris and the garbage, and that would aid in the faster dispension of the water leaving. So the garbage caused the dissipation of the water to retard, and so the matter has been taken care of, and so the water is expected to go down a little faster. But we are still watching the weather, and the more rain are expected to come.
While residents in Manuel, Congo, a small settlement after La Hoqueta and on the way to Brazil Village, were this morning marooned as a result of 2 disabled bridges in the area. Resident Damian Abraham explains.
The other side now, which is on a Bailey Bridge, right? As soon as the rain falls, it has flooded really bad. So right now, the Bailey Bridge, we cannot pass any Bailey Bridge at all. And that is our only way of getting in and getting out of here.
And one family in Barrackpore had to face up to 4 feet of water coming into their home. CNews visited them this morning and got first-hand experience of what they had to face after the passage of Tropical Storm Bret. There were no children involved, but one person was said to be disabled. Flooding, blown off rooftops and falling trees. These are just some of the reports coming from the Tunapuna-Piarco Regional Corporation following the passage of Tropical Storm Bret. CNews spoke to the head of the TPRC's Disaster Management and Safety Committee, Councillor Aaron Thomas, who gave us an update on the storm's effects.
Manuel, Congo, and a little bit of flooding within Tech River. That is based on a report that came in this. So we had a number of cases where trees have fallen So presently we have some trees falling on Cora Road, on Blanchisseuse area.
He told us how the corporation is working to assist the residents living in Urupun.
To go down the water. So that is one. We also have members of our tree cutting units on the go, working along with fire service to try and clear the roads to make them passable. So I think we are trying to make sure all the roads are passable, and we are also coordinating with the teams within the corporation to go out and assist in cleaning and clearing.
And the Member of Parliament for Faizabad, Dr. Lakram Bodo, spoke with C News about the difficulty being experienced by commuters in his constituency.
The first issue really is the flooding of the creek. I just came through the Mosquito Creek and it's difficult to pass. There's virtually like one-lane traffic, so that's an issue for residents going into Faizabad and Labri and Point Fortin. There are some pumps on site trying to pump out the water. I spoke with the Minister of Works this morning and he gave the assurance that he will send another pump and try to deal with the issue. So that's one of the major issues.
Dr. Bodo said they are assisting those roofs who have blown off.
I've had reports of a few roofs being blown off. I would say the numbers so far from what I have would be less than 10. And there are reports of some flooding in some of the low-lying areas, for example, in the standard area and some other areas. Through the regional corporation, sometimes we can provide like a tarpaulin, a temporary cover, and then we try to get assistance for repair of the roof through the ODPM and the other state agencies. We haven't had to do any sandbagging in our area.
All in all, Dr. Bodo believes his area has fared better than some others, but continues to do all he can to assist. YouTube user Alvin Burbal shared some drone footage on social media about the flooding in South Trinidad after Tropical Storm Bret. The footage was taken along the Rochard Douglas Road in Barrackport, Trinidad. Take a look. The licensing offices at Port of Spain, Caroni and San Fernando are open for business today. The Ministry of Works and Transport has advised that all licensing offices will be open tomorrow. Well, we start with news of swimming. Trinidad and Tobago athletes are putting in their final bit of preparations for the 2017 Central American and Caribbean Amateur Swimming Confederation Championships, or CCCAN, at the National Aquatic Center in Cuba. Anya Welch, a member of the TNT Women's Open Water Polo team, which will be competing for the first time at this level and at home, is hoping the advantage spurs the team on to top honors.
We are so lucky to have this complex, so I think we're making very good use of it. So I think that all TNT nationals should come out and support us. It's our first time that we are participating at home in such a huge tournament, and especially for us open girls, this tournament is a qualifier for even bigger championships in Colombia. We aren't very sure what competition is ahead of us, but I think with the training and the dedication from the girls, I think we'll be able to put out a good fight.
One of the younger competitors representing TNT at the championships is Alyssa Ramlakan, who will compete in diving for the very first time. She too is excited to have her family and friends cheer her on and is putting in the hard work to get her training and preparations done so she can excel for TNT.
Because I'm training every day for 2 hours, sometimes 3 hours, and I have to learn lots of new dives, but I'm excited for the competition.
Cycling enthusiasts and competitors descended on the Frankie Boudram International Raceway in Waterfield on Sunday for the 2017 National Criterium Championships. This is the first time that cycling at this level has been held at the track, usually used for circuit and drag racing. The event saw close to 100 competitors compete across 12 classes. Desira Mohammed has the highlights.
Even though the skies threatened for most of the evening, weather conditions were cool and calm, setting up ideal racing conditions, with Mark Pogson of Heatwave and Neil Campbell of PSL capturing the elite men and women's categories. Pat Nelson of Breakaway took a sprint finish in the Masters 70+, while Stephen Aboud, unattached, rode away with the Masters 60-69 category. The Masters 50-59 category was a highly contested affair, as a mad dash for the line was won by a speedy Rodney Woods of Team Woods, pipping Wayne Samuel of Hummingbirds on the line. Michaela Hernandez from Madonna Wheelers completed her trifecta of road wins in the Tiny Mite Women's category, as she defeated Kira Ellis of Team Woods in their 3-lap event. Enrique de Comamond followed suit to win his 3rd national road title for the juvenile men, while Jabari Whiteman snatched the Grulin Junior men category ahead of Kemp Orozco of Team DPS and Michael Aki South Clane in yet another sprint for the title. Tennille Campbell continued her dominance in the elite women category as she showed her strength to pedal away from the bunch and cross the line for yet another national title. Campbell was impressed by the facility, saying it will aid in the development of national cyclists.
Because there's a lot of headwind coming up the stretch and a lot of tailwind in the back, so it can play both sides for an all-rounder cyclist. So.
Nasira Mohammed, C Sports.
Well, that's it for sport. Duty forecaster from the Grenada Met Office, Andre Charles, has described the country's storm experience as pretty okay, with the exception of strong winds. He said last night had fair conditions.
We've had overcast conditions. The winds, we've had a gusting winds of up to 51 knots, and that was recorded at 2 a.m. this morning. And we've had an average wind speed of, let's say, 30 knots overnight.
This morning saw an ease in weather conditions on the island.
Thunderstorm activities were very minimal, near to none at the airport. Elsewhere, there might have been possible records of it, but at airport-wise, we have not experienced any thunderstorms.
He also said thus far there's been no reports of damage to property or flooding. However, he added it was still early and they continue to await and prepare further developments. Well, that's the CNews at Noon report. Remember, for up-to-date and breaking news throughout the day, you can visit the CNews website at ctvtt.com. Do have a good afternoon.